we're live.
Okay, let's try this again. So welcome back to Monday Night Mythbusters.
Hello, hello.
I'm Dr. Carolyn George, Vita Integrative Medicine, and Leslie Harrington,
Hello,
Transformational
guys.
Coach. So tonight we are going to be talking about frogs. Okay, and Leslie's going to have some fun explaining what we mean by this. So we're really what we want to talk about tonight is how to create a wonderful morning, because the morning sets the tone for the rest of the day. So we're going to talk about some things that you may have thought of, you may not have thought of, but these are all key things that we think are really important for people to at least consider, if you don't include, but at least consider including in your morning to make your day spectacular. And so we want to say hi to Marianne and to Anne and to Stacy and to Sally.
Hey guys.
Hi everybody.
Thank you for joining.
Yes, thank you for taking some time out of your Monday evening. I know this is a key time to spend with family or just to relax, and so we really do appreciate that you spend some time with us.
Yes.
Hey Jenny.
Hi Jenny.
So first thing, one of the key things that we have, I think, spoken about before, but we wanted to make a point of, is that most very successful people, whether you're talking, Forbes or
Steve Jobs,
or any of these guys,
entrepreneurs.
all these big entrepreneurs get up early, okay? And so you don't want to be the person that doesn't get up out of bed till 9 or 10 o'clock in the morning because you've kind of blown most of your day. So just kind of starting with that thought that whatever is early for you, for some people that's 5, for some people that's 7, but try not to make it 9 or 10.
Yeah, I think that key hour in the morning before the world starts buzzing is a really private time that you can spend with whether it's if you're with your kids or by yourself, or things that there's critical things you can do in that time that can really set the stage for the rest of your day. And it could be a 30-minute period, it can be a 5-minute period, however you look at it. But sometimes even, I like to sometimes go for a walk outside before the sun comes up during certain seasons. And I feel like by the time I would get started in my day, I've had like almost a full day of cool things that I've already been able to do that kind of sets the day on fire,
Right.
So that's really what it's about tonight. What we're going to talk about is how do you get your day started so that it sets you up for success and it sets you up for productive and really efficient activity throughout the day.
Right. So, do you want to explain what you mean by frogs? I love this, by the way. This was something new to me, but apparently it's been around for some time. So those of you who already know, if you actually do this, if you already know what she means by
Eat that
frog, then just do a thumbs up for us, okay?
Yeah, has anyone ever heard of what that concept means? So eat that frog, to me, I had heard it all the time, so I use it in my own internal dialogue all the time. I'm
Right.
like, I wake up and I'm like, eat the frog, just do it, and really it came foundationally, it's in, Brian Tracy wrote a book called Eat That Frog, and the concept comes from a Mark Twain saying, and basically he said if you had to wake up in the morning and eat a live frog, that would essentially be the worst thing you had to do for the rest of the day, right? There's probably nothing that's going to take place of that. So that's really the idea, is getting that thing off of your plate that is going to be the most challenging, or the one thing that you're going to procrastinate about the most for the whole day. So when you think about eating that frog, it could be different for everybody. It could be a habit that you're developing and you're doing that is just a tough habit for you. Some people might be not hitting snooze in the morning, eating that frog, getting up out of bed, that might be your frog for the day. Otherwise, it can be certain tasks that you have on your list, and it might change daily what that frog looks like for you.
Right. So maybe you have to call somebody that you really don't want to speak to. So that's your frog. So then you're going to go do that first thing, because the rest of the tone of the day it's going to sit over you if you don't get that done. But it might be something as simple as exercise. Maybe you want to create a habit to exercise every day. So you're going to eat that frog. And what was the other thing that he said about
if there's more than one?
If there's more than one frog, eat the ugliest frog first.
You still want to start with the worst one, right? So most of us, another thing that we'll talk about a little bit as far as productivity in your day, and then we'll kind of intertwine why it's important from a health standpoint and how this can really help you set yourself up for success with how you eat and how your day goes physically. But most of us would develop a plan for your day. And some people like to do it the night before. We talked about before, creating in your mind what your next day is going to look like is actually going to help you, one, to sleep better, and to be able to kind of wake up and have that already set out in front of you. Otherwise, you're going to have that list of things that you're going to be doing for the day, and you always want to kind of narrow that down to kind of your big boulders, right? There's going to be little rocks, there's going to be pebbles, and then there's going to be water. If you picture a jar with boulders, little rocks, and little pebbles, the pebbles are going to be kind of filling in the gaps of your day. The boulders are still those main things that need to get off of your plate. And you want to address your non-negotiables before you start letting in some of those other little things that get part of your disruption and just things, life happens kind of things that go on through your day, the emergencies, right?
So one of the things that we both agree that we like to do when we think it's a good idea to consider is the best morning starts with planning the night before. So we've kind of spoken a little bit about having kind of an hour in the evening before to kind of end the day, put on creams and lotions, do personal care, maybe do a little journaling, that kind of thing. So that's all important. But one of those key things to do the evening before is to sit down and think, okay, what are the top 3 or maybe 4 things that have to get done tomorrow? What needs to get done? What are those non-negotiables that I have to get done that I can call that day a success? There, of course, is going to be many, many other things on your list, but those are just extras. Those are, bonus, right? Cherries on the top. But what are the 3 or 4 things? And if you write that down and you know what those are, then you're going to sleep much better. And when you get up in the morning and do the few other things we're going to talk about, then you're really hitting the day with a good stride, and you're knocking it off. And when you do that, when you've got those top 3 things that you had to get done, man, you can give yourself a nice pat on the shoulder. It feels awesome, right? It's a job well done. You succeeded in at least getting the bare minimum done for the day.
Well, and even to kind of go ahead of that, there's actually an Army general that does a great speech on this, and they talk about making your bed in the morning. And that was a piece of advice I got years ago. And when you make your bed in the morning, it's exactly that pat on the back, that sense of accomplishment. It's a little thing that's a big thing. So that's kind of the first thing you do in the morning that kind of you get it off of your list, but it sets you up. You're creating an environment that's going to put you in a more calm because it's not in disarray and disoriented. Right. You're getting things that are already starting to kickstart the rest of your day. You're setting yourself up for kind of like, okay, what's my next thing I'm going to do? Right? So making your bed is a big deal. It's a big deal. It's a big deal for kids to kind of teach them that same concept of kind of starting your day with wrapping up one thing and then moving on to the next. So that was a big one for me always.
Right. And I would say you don't have to do like corners in. You don't have to have this perfect
25 pillows and all that.
Pull the sheets up.
Yeah, right? If it needs to be simple, keep it simple.
Yeah, it can be 30 seconds, right? It doesn't have to be a major thing, but then that's done. And now your bed looks nice. You're not going to go back in, right? You've been out of bed, right? How many times did I want to crawl back into bed
exactly.
and go, no, I don't want to face today. So that's not going to happen if the bed's made, and then you get up and do whatever you've chosen to be the next thing.
Oh, look, Kristen's mentioning a book called Make Your Bed. So I suspect it's probably that same concept of that Army general. Like it's really. I wish I had a link to tell you about the Army general. I'll try to find it before we go. He talks about the
Navy SEALs and
it goes on to having like very substantial meaning and so many different aspects of discipline. It really comes down to discipline.
Right.
So making the bed, great place to start before you even start going on to the eating the frog of the bigger boulders. But the other thing most successful people do is they have some sort of a morning ritual, whether it's a breathing exercise, whether it's a setting intentions or a meditative practice. There's different things that, Kristen writes he wrote the book. It's the Army general that wrote the book.
Okay.
Sorry. So having like a meditative, some people like to journal in the morning and do gratitude. I like to do gratitude at night and reflect on my day. I also like to do it in the morning to be thankful for things that maybe I'm kind of wishing into my day. So being grateful for something that hasn't necessarily happened yet, but that you're anticipating, those are also a good thing to do. And these are things that take 5 minutes, right? It's not like oh, I got to wake up an extra hour and a half to go through this list of things. These are things that take very little of your time that have a very big impact on how the rest of your day looks.
Right.
Exposing yourself to positive inspiration. You know, I like to do quotes. You know, in the morning I like set myself up for the day with a quote of the day. There's an amazing podcast. It's called The Quote of the Day Show, and it's by Sean Croxton.
Okay.
He goes around and he picks quotes from all different famous speakers. And he does like a maybe 10-minute or less podcast with you hear a clip of that speech. And it's great because you start the day off with like, I mean, I could listen to it on my way to the gym, and I've already got kind of this mindset of, wow, you know, you're ready to take on the day with a good mental attitude.
Another nice thing to start the day off with is a meditation. And so you can meditate for as little as 1 minute, and there's actually a 1-minute meditation on Facebook. You can go Google 1-minute meditation, and they will send you a 1-minute meditation each day if you're following them. So that's an awesome thing to do, but if you want to do it a little bit longer, 5-10 minutes, set your alarm. Oprah and Deepak Chopra right now are doing a series of meditations. There's a lot of different places where you can be exposed to it and try different types of meditation, but trying just to do a few minutes every morning really sets the day off on a much calmer, more serene state of mind. And even though there's going to be those inevitable blips in the road, when you start off your day that way, it really does reflect positively generally on your ability to be more resilient.
Yeah, it's energizing. And so many people that I work with really have trouble with time management. And so, you know, I don't have time to work out, or I don't have time to meditate, and I don't have time to eat properly or plan and prep food and things. And sometimes it's going back to basics. Like, how are you spending your time? You know, I like to have you go through and from 6 a.m. in the morning till 10 at night, marking down every 15 minutes, how are you really spending your time? And this is a great exercise to people to go through and really see what they're doing. There's also an app for your phone that actually tells you how often and how many minutes you're spending on your phone.
Oh,
and I just downloaded it recently.
So
I'll tell you what it is.
She'll share it with us.
Yeah, so that actually is calculating behind the scenes. I'm learning if it takes into account podcasts and stuff, because I listen to a lot of podcasts. But that kind of keeps a track, because you can be on there a lot more than you would know.
10 minutes becomes an hour in a heartbeat. Yeah.
And that list of what you're doing in a day, what I do in there is take those non-negotiables we talked about, right? So the non-negotiables are the things, it's like brushing your teeth. You wake up, you're not going to think about going out the door without brushing your teeth. It's something that just happens. And in some people's world, and in my case, exercise a non-negotiable for my morning. Some people, meditation, non-negotiable. When it becomes non-negotiable, it means it's a solid habit. It's something that you are not questioning. It just
you
goes.
feel so much better when you do it that there's just no way you're not going to do it.
So the key is to really establish these non-negotiables and start to create those habits for yourself. But finding out where you're spending your time is really critical. When you're doing these bookends to your day, where you're really planning out your morning and your evening, and you have that ritual, all the things that happen in between, when you're killing those 3 birds and you're eating that frog, everything else kind of falls into place, and you find yourself having like a lot more productivity throughout the day and ability to prep your food, you know, get your workout in, do some of your, you know, stress management habits, things like that. That this is where these types of critical starts and finish to your day are going to really enhance your health and really start to kind of, it all contributes to the whole wellness.
Right, exactly. So getting up, making your bed, doing a little meditation or some kind of breathing exercise, something that's restorative, working out in the morning if that's your thing to work out in the morning, and of course, eating. So for the most part, I generally suggest people have a good, solid breakfast. Some people are doing intermittent fasting, and if they're doing that, then that breakfast is usually, you know, late morning, so it may not be part of that 7 or 8, 9 o'clock part of the day.
Water.
Yeah.
You're very much dehydrated through the night.
Right.
So when you wake up in the morning, the very first thing I do, I suck down 12 ounces of water as quick as possible, because you have, before you're drinking your coffee, and your coffee's dehydrating. Right?
Yeah.
Get some of that hydration going. You know, probably even before you're considering breaking your fast and deciding what you're going to do as far as eating. So making sure that you hydrate is critical.
Right, exactly. And if you don't hydrate, first thing, then at least with your breakfast. So
Exactly.
just before, just after, but drinking a good 8-ounce glass of water really kind of jump starts the day. If you're supposed to get in about 8-ounce glasses in a day, then let's start it off with a good 8 ounces to really get the day started. And then figuring out your breakfast. So it may be something that you've thought about the night before, and maybe you do your overnight oatmeal, or maybe you've done something so you've prepped so that you've got a quick breakfast in the morning. But if not, just putting a little bit of time, cooking an egg, some turkey sausage, whatever your thing for breakfast is really key, because that is going to jumpstart your metabolism, and we want your metabolism to be going full
Yes.
bore so that you can get things done. So eating in the morning, unless you're doing intermittent fasting, is really key.
And remember your basic circadian rhythm. So getting that exposure to the light in the morning is another thing that would be important. But you have more focus and strategy and willpower and all of the things at the top of your day.
Mm-hmm.
So when you're eating the frog, you have more of your energy to put there
Yes.
first thing in the morning.
Yes.
As the day wears on, the procrastination, the least likely that you're going to really be able to attack that task.
Right.
That's the most important task of your day.
And if you do that, if you put it off and put it off and put it off, then you end the day and you haven't done it. You feel lousy. You feel like you've failed the day, and it's not a good feeling, right? That's not that pat on the back that we want to get all day throughout the day from job well done. So eating that frog is really a key thing to do early on. And then everything else, like we say, kind of settles around it. Also knowing whether you are really your best and brightest for thinking in the morning. Some people take a few hours to kind of gear up. Other people climb out of bed and they can just kind of write and do reports and do things. And other people need a little bit of time to kind of have a cup of tea or a cup of coffee and have their breakfast and walk the dog and kind of do those things
Like
before
ease into the day.
Ease into the day. So know what kind of person you are, and then
There's a
create
great
those
quiz.
boundaries.
I'm sorry to interrupt. The Power of When. And it's called thepowerofwhenquiz.com. And it's chronotypes. They call it chronotypes. And that's basically exactly what you're saying. There's different people, people call themselves night owls. Kids and people in college and stuff are more what they would call a wolf, which like people who stay up really late.
Right.
And then there's certain people that ease into their day, and if you gave them another hour to really start to function more, their productivity
much
soars.
better. Right.
Soars. And they've done studies on this, and this guy that wrote that book, Dr.
Lipton. That one?
No, it wasn't Bruce Lipton, but he's a sleep specialist.
Okay.
He wrote a book, The Power of When. So thepowerofwhen.com, and check it out, because I have the book on it, but the little quiz takes about a minute, 2 minutes, and it tells you what you are. There's bear, there's a lion, there's a dolphin. Dolphins have a lot of hormone imbalances, so they're kind of all over the place. They don't have like that certain circadian rhythm.
Okay.
They're up in the middle of the night, they're up late, they're up early, they're all over the place. Whereas a bear is kind of like the primary predominant of the population is like 50% of them are bears.
Okay.
And they're the ones that kind of wake up at 7 and they may take a nap now and then, but like they're kind of like the average.
Okay.
The lions are those crack a morning,
Right.
5 a.m.ers, go.
Go. Right.
Yeah.
You're a lion.
I'm actually tested as a bear, but
okay.
you can teach yourself to be a lion.
Mm-hmm.
So they say like you can naturally be something, but then like put yourself in an environment where you are.
Correct.
I'm a lion by default because
Right.
I happen to do that. Doesn't mean my body is designed for that. So
Okay,
you can play with that a
Mess
little.
with it, yes. So anyways, something to think about. What's the best time of day for you to do your most creative work? What's the best time of day for you to do your most kind of hard thinking work? And then when do you want to be doing all the kind of responding back to emails and stuff like that? Try to group the email responses to all the same time. Try not to be constantly checking your phone and answering this one and then, because that is going to set you up for a big waste of time. Do it all at once, in a clump in the
they call it
morning.
like chunking.
Yeah.
There's a concept of chunking.
Yeah.
Different activities. So being a slave to your email is someone that every time the ding goes off, it
You gotta
sends your
answer it.
cortisol raising, and you're like, constantly disrupting whatever task you're doing.
Right.
So that is not multitasking. That's actually stopping one task and distracting yourself into
Right.
another. So
And you never get that one task done. And if that's the frog that you need to eat, it gets delayed.
yeah, so setting that your stuff on silent, putting your phone aside, not even letting you see it popping up and things like that. That's really critical.
Take away
to keep.
the alerts, the notifications.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly.
Now, some people in some jobs need to be on alert, so then maybe you set, every hour you're going to check, but try to still chunk it so that it's not every 2 minutes, that you're never getting to what the meat of the day is.
Yeah, and you're spending your time focused when you're supposed to be doing that task.
Right.
And then the other thing is every hour stopping, taking a break, getting a recharge of your brain, resetting yourself, 5-minute break, then re-engaging, because that's really powerful as well to kind of give your body that little reset.
Right. So
And the breathing.
the breathing, yeah. So just even stopping, stretching, doing a few deep breaths, that can kind of energize you to kind of go back in and do more.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
So those are kind of some of the key things that we think are important for mornings. And again, exercise does not have to happen in the morning if you're not a morning exerciser. Sometimes it's best at lunchtime when you get a break from work or after work. But I do tend to suggest that you not do it after dinner, because most people won't get up and do it after they've had a meal. And you don't really want to be exercising just before you go to sleep.
Yes.
So trying to find another time of the day is really kind of the most ideal, rather than at nighttime after you eat.
Yeah, and giving yourself enough time before bed to kind of start that wind down routine.
Wind down, yeah.
So I know some people, there's actually a workout class at 4:30 in the morning. And I'm like thinking, all I could think is how disruptive that would be to your hormones. Not only for the people taking the class, but for the instructor.
Right.
Like, go back to bed.
Right? That seems a little too early to me.
So definitely, it's cool to get up early and get started and things like that, but it is important to be weary of, what your hormones are doing. So, that 5 a.m. kind of chaos, maybe waking up at 5. And the other thing is they say really don't look at your email first thing in the morning. Don't go right to social media, to, the things that are going to immediately switch your brain into kind of that overdrive daytime mode. Use that time to really create that little peace and space for yourself. And like I said, all of these things we listed, you can do all of those things. Your breathing, your gratitude, if you journal, if you get up and make your bed, in 10-15 minutes. We're not talking about waking up 3 hours earlier to do some of these things that set the tone for your day.
Right. And so does anybody have any questions about or suggestions, things that make their morning wonderful? Some people have that ritual where they really like to have a nice cup of hot tea, or they like to go outside and listen to birds. So these are all great ways to get the day started. Being in nature is awesome if you have that opportunity. But really kind of thinking about how you want your morning to go. And one little piece of advice that I would say is think about what a perfect morning would look like for you. It might not be happening right now, but think about what it would look like, and then little piece by piece by piece, make it happen.
To create it.
That's what I had to do, because I used to, in the ER, rush out the door, throw something in my mouth, and it wasn't a good morning. So then I started to think, okay, how am I going to make my mornings better? And you have to backtrack. So then I've got to make my shifts start at a different time. I've got to prepare my breakfast maybe the night before. I've got to know what my 3 things are that I have to get done that day. And I've got to set aside enough time that I can calmly have a cup of coffee or a cup of tea and do my gratitude and do my breathing and do a little meditation. And again, it doesn't take a long time, but it did take me months, maybe longer than months, to really build that up together so that there was a flow to that, and that I could do it pretty consistently. And again, nothing that you do is ever going to be 100% consistent.
And it might be different on the weekends. And a lot of people might be going, I have little kids, how would I possibly? My day starts with them crawling in bed. And that's where it's okay. Like, integrate that into your morning routine. Even let them crawl in bed, do some breathing stuff together. There's this great family, the guy who does My Kid Cures Cancer, and they start their day with breathing, and they all breathe in. There's the whole family, so
Okay.
cute. They do this video, and then they do these affirmations, and they just say, I am
Okay.
healthy, I'm vibrant, I'm well, and they do this little chant, and it's like the cutest thing, but that's how they start their day,
Mhm.
with like their 10 breaths, and then their little chant, and they do it as a family, you
Right.
know. So there's different ways you can integrate some of that chaotic morning with getting kids off to school and things like that, or putting that as a little bit of get that off the plate, and then how am I going to start my day?
Right.
You know, it doesn't have to be the minute you're getting out of bed, but after you make your bed.
Right. But really kind of just first set the intention, and then little by little it can happen. So that's, I think, for me, because I'm kind of an all or nothing kind of person, I kind of felt, oh, if I'm not going to do it all, what's the point of doing any of it? And I had to get my head out of that way of thinking and do, okay, what can I do today? So, you know, some days when my kids were little and I have twins, I didn't get any of it done, but I always had that intention. So then I would try to get back to it, try to run to the bathroom and find a few minutes
Yes.
to take those few deep breaths, and or you know, just do whatever I felt I wanted to incorporate from my little ritual into that.
And little things
Space.
are big. Little things are big things. And anything that makes significant impact started with small actions that
Always.
led up to that. So recognize that throwing 3 sentences in a journal is powerful. So you might be like, gosh, I mean, I really only spent a few seconds on that. That really
Okay.
doesn't mean anything. It's very meaningful.
Right.
So yes, share, please. Kristen's saying here, Miracle Mornings, the book changed her life. I've heard that from other people.
Mhm.
The Miracle Mornings, and then the something of Miracles. There's another program.
Okay,
that
about mornings.
Course in Miracles, it's
Okay.
called. But yes, Miracle Mornings. I've heard of that. Who is the author of that, Kristen?
Yeah, if you can just put that in there for our people so that they can have a chance to check out that book. But this is kind of the idea is it doesn't have to be the same for everybody. It's going to be unique to you, but figure out what's the way that you really feel good for the rest of the day when you spend your morning like this. And then that's how you want it. What you
and
want to
what is some of the things that is working for you guys? You know, like share some of the things. You know,
Yeah.
for me, I walk my dogs. I get sunlight that way. I'm out in nature. My dogs are happy. I'm moving.
Mhm.
You know, I do my water first, but I like to get out that door and get moving, whether it's an exercise class or the dogs or vice versa, and
Right.
flip flop. That's just a way that kind of gets me rocking
Moving.
and rolling.
Yeah. Is anybody there? Can you just put in some ideas of what things that you
Hi,
really
Diane.
like to do to make your morning good?
Yeah, if you want to share ideas, it definitely, Hal Elrod, yes. Okay, thank you, Kristen. Yeah, share what some of the things that you guys do that really you feel makes your day more productive or motivates you, gets you started. I know some people on here that do the quote of the day thing also, and that
Mhm.
kind of gets you going.
Yeah. And I love the 1 minute meditation. I have to say that I really enjoy doing that. It just gives you one idea, one thing to kind of meditate on, and just 1 minute. And everybody's
And that
got
goes
1
to your
minute.
email, or
It
where
goes,
do you?
it goes in Facebook feed.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
So you got to,
It
okay.
just pops up. So
And
you get
it's you go on. It's called 1 minute
1 minute
meditation.
1 minute meditation.
Okay, I might try that too.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So that's very. To me, 1 minute. I've got a minute. I might not have a lot some days, but I've got a minute.
Little things are big things. That
Yes.
stuff adds up. It really does.
It does. Yeah.
And I always tell people with meditation how it's not so much you get the outcome immediately. You're not like, okay, this is great. I just like changed my world.
Mhm.
It's what happens as a result of the consistent practicing.
Correct. And Sally says, walk my spoiled puppy and Pilates with less than coffee. Best morning ever.
Absolutely agreed. So yes, that connection is a big deal. You know, for me, I thrive on like fueling my soul
Mhm.
with my coffees, and you know, I have
Your girlfriends.
my girlfriends. I do my little Pilates, and we walk our dogs together sometimes.
Yeah.
So it's it's like literally fuel for the soul to kind of set yourself up. Some people have really good morning conversations with their best friends,
Right.
you know, and that can really set the tone for your day also. So
Yeah, absolutely.
yes.
Other people prefer just to be by themselves. They want that quiet moment because they know the rest of their
Definitely.
day is going to be with people. So, again, whatever kind of suits you, really personalize this. What you like is not going to be what somebody else likes.
Yeah, Kristen has been really creating this new routine for herself, and I see a difference just in the everyday interaction and how, like when I talk to her during the day at work and things like that, I can hear.
Mm-hmm.
She's calm. She's like taking
Right.
things as they're coming at her.
Right.
You don't see that same intensity at work that you felt.
And Ginny says, my coffee in my own garden or heading with my camera to Flamingo Gardens is my morning meditation.
Yes,
and that's
best
fabulous.
light, right?
Oh.
I hear that with photography. The best
Yeah.
light. It's that first thing in the morning.
Right, and then you're out in nature, you're with plants, you're with animals.
Yeah,
That's
see
great.
more.
And her
that's
goal is to
awesome.
do that daily. Yep, absolutely. And that can be, I mean, it's perfect to have that as a goal and to not be able to do that every day, but still have that as your goal to try to do that every day.
Yeah, and not to be judgmental if you don't get it in, you know, like just get back
Some
on that
days.
train, you know. Some days, like some nights I'm exhausted
Mm-hmm.
and I'll be like, I gotta just journal something, you know, and some days I do and some days I don't, you know, but I really try not to let a day, you know, more than a day go by when I always look at the date. Did I remember, you know? So it's important to try to do it daily, but it's also important not to be too critical of yourself if you
Right.
miss something.
Do not beat yourself up for anything that you fail to do in your list of things that you want to do, because above all, this is about making you feel good, not that negative self-talk for failing at whatever your goals were,
Exactly.
right? You tried. That's the key thing, as long as you're trying.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly.
So with that in mind, I think we're actually a little bit over time. So I wanted to thank you guys for sharing how you spend your mornings and
Yes,
what you do to
thank
make
you.
your days awesome. And please feel free to share this little Facebook Live with anybody that you think might find it helpful. And we look forward to serving you and helping you in any way we can. So send us ideas of what you want for your next Facebook Lives.
Yeah, and you know, all of these things contribute to wellness, right? So you wouldn't think eating that frog and planning your day and how you start, all of these things set you up for success and really kind of bring you peace in your life and make things easier, right? And that is very much contributing to health. So we can get super deep in any topic you want if you want to talk about specific illnesses or diagnosis and things
Right,
like
correct.
that. Throw it. We love all of it. But just know that all of these things, if you start to apply general principles, they add up, and little things are big things. So
Little things are big things, and eat your frog.
yes,
Okay?
start to figure out what that is.
And if you would put in some things there, if you want, about what your frog of that day is, just to, so people can get some ideas of what things that we might consider a frog for the day.
yeah, and it doesn't have to be negative. It might be meditation. Meditation
Right.
is a fabulous
Sure.
thing, but it might be your frog because
Might
it's
be
hard to
something
fit in,
hard to fit in, exactly.
or something you're not comfortable or haven't embraced yet. You
Right,
know.
right. So eat that frog, and until next Monday, you guys enjoy, and we'll see you then.
Yes. Thank you. Have a great night.